All right, welcome everybody. I will be talking about styling and templating Quarto documents. Once I realized that I would be the last talk of the day, I decided to employ an alternative, more BuzzFeed style title to hopefully bring up some spirits. So it's, are you worried about styling taking too much of your time? In 20 minutes, you won't anymore. So that's the general idea of what I will be talking about. All right, so to set a little bit of a ground floor, I'm imagining that you, all the viewers, you're either a Quarto user or you're curious about the new fancy Quarto ecosystem. If you're using Quarto, then you automatically have point 2, that is you're able to create a bunch of different types of documents. And you also haven't ventured into styling yet, because this is a talk about how to style. So imagine you're doing weekly reports at work, and some of the higher-ups want you to use the corporate theme. This might not resonate with you, so we can pop out some of these things. So instead of weekly reports, it could be write a slideshow for Posit conf. Higher-ups could be yourself. And corporate design could be watercolor Seattle theme. But so really, as long as you can mix and match until it aligns with what is happening in your life. So what I see, and I felt this too, is styling is incredibly daunting because there's so much happening and there's so many people that are so much greater at it than I will ever be. And you think, this is taking forever, and it could take forever. And what I'm hoping that you will take away from this talk is that it doesn't have to be. I have the opposite problem right now, is that I just spent too much time writing slides. But the same principles still hold, that to create beautiful products, you don't need a lot. You can get very far with just a little bit. And personal advice, I time block myself with styling. So whenever I do slides, I set aside time first to figure out the theme. And then once that's done, I write content, and then I never touch the theme unless there's a critical error. So with little effort, we can do quite a lot. And in this talk, I'll talk about the main 3 things. So I'll talk about how just by changing the color, font, and size of the different elements in your Quarto output, you can do quite a lot. So how do you write a theme? We've already seen a couple of people talk about this so far. And it will depend on the format you're using. So if you have some HTML documents or website, you need to use CSS, maybe some JavaScript if you're fancy. PowerPoint has a whole different way of setting things up. LaTeX also has a whole different way of setting things up. So every type of input is slightly different, but the general idea is the same. And the Quarto website has the documentation of where to find everything. For the rest of the talk, I'll assume you know what you want. So I won't be talking about how to find the perfect font and perfect color palette and how to do all of that, because we simply don't have the time. So here is a very simple, well, this is the default HTML page with Quarto that comes up when you just start a studio, add new thing. So here on the left-hand side, we just have it, and it looks like how it is sped. We have headers coming up, we have plain text, we have code, it prints out as well. Main thing is we have like a little format up here. And on the right-hand side, we see how it looks once it has been rendered. To be able to employ theming for HTML, the only thing we have to do, well, there's 2 things. First, we need to tell the document, I want to use this style template. So we set theme, and then specify in the theme. You can technically add multiple if you want, and since it's CSS, we have the task-taking style sheet, so it will just know, put them all together and use whatever was most recent. Once we have that, we generate the corresponding SCSS document. For Quarto to be able to use this properly, we need these comments to denote that this is a proper SCSS file, and different things where it should be placed roughly in these different places. But it shouldn't quite matter where you put it. But generally, we put any, what you see in just next slide right here. So the way I do it is, I'm very opinionated in the way I create my style sheets, and you will see that if you look on GitHub what I have. I always start by generating my color palette. And I always name it with $theme dash and then the human readable name of the color. So here I'm creating a black, a white, and a teal and a blue just because we need some colors. It doesn't have any deeper meaning about it. In general advice, when you're doing any kind of theming, whether it be for fun or for corporate use, you don't want too many. Like you can do a lot with 1, 2 colors, maybe 3, but once you start adding more, you get some dilution of it. Another thing you might have noticed is I have my black and white that I'm using, but the black isn't like the blackest black possible. I'm using like a very gray, but not all the way black, and that's simply because completely pitch black text on completely white background is very straining for the eyes. So just reducing a little bit of the contrast is pleasant without you really noticing that it's a thing. You still need to a high enough contrast that you can actually see what's happening, but generally going a little bit down. And the reverse is true as well, so you don't want white text on a dark background. Like try to pinch a little bit together. And with the colors, they should be different. There's a million tools online of how to find contrast, colorblind friendliness. So once we have these defined, I have 4 or 5 up here at the top, then we can use those variables and specify these SAS variables. So we see here we have body/background. Quarto will see that and turn the right element on the document into that color. And there's a bunch of built-in SAS variables. They're all in the footer linked. So we just specify those down, and we're using the theme we set at the top. Sometimes there's some styling that can't be accomplished simply by using the SAS variables. That's why we use the rules. So this is just plain CSS. But it's the SCSS variant, so we are allowed to do a little bit of math and manipulations. So you will see in my H1 header, which is the main header in the document, I'm using this darken function right here. So I'm saying take this color and make it 50% darker. So we don't have a million hex codes everywhere that might be slightly related. There's multiple colors in our document, but we only have 2 base colors. And you can get quite far with this, and it's generally a good idea. If you can, maybe you can use this darkening and lightening thing, so have some coherent theme to it. Changing the font is just the same. Since we're working with HTML, we can use some doodle font set up to pull in the fonts we like, and then we have SCSS variables, just the same, to set the variables, to specify things, and Quarto will just know what to do, make everything happen. And yeah. Lastly, sizing. I'm a broken record by now. You set them up as SCSS variables. there is this great idea of like the font size of the root. So like this is just it's the size of the main text of the document. You set that. But then most every styling of the rest of the document is computed as a function of this root. So the H1 header normally defaults to 2.5 times the root. H2 is 2 times, and so on and so on. Toad also has a change in this. So here, we could have stopped by just changing the root size. But I decided to show as well we can also use our variables then with a little bit of math to create a more coherent theme. And because there isn't a SCSS variable to control the way the sizing of the toad, you can also manually find those and create them. A general tip I would use is look at what other people are doing, because someone has probably run into this before, and you should steal like an artist to figure out, oh, they're doing something neat. Let me take that. And so we have a document right here, and it looks really nice. And to really bring up how nice it looks, I want to show the original we worked with. So by just doing a couple of very small modifications, we are seeing that our document have a whole new life. And I would argue that all the transformations we can do here can be done by yourself in an hour, maybe even less. Once you get used to it, it takes 10 minutes, because you just take the file, change the values, and you're done. So we did it. We made a theme, and we're happy, and we realize, oh, this isn't just a one-time thing. I want to be able to use this theme over and over. Then I want other people to use it over and over. Then what do I do? So this is where we bring in the idea of a Quarto template. So there's this great tweet by David Robinson, and I will read it for you right now. It says, when you've written the same code 3 times, write a function. When you've given the same in-person advice 3 times, write a blog post. And I would like to, I will take the honor of extending this. So when you're needing the same styling 3 times, write a Quarto template. And I will argue it takes less time to do the Quarto template than it is to write an R function or to write a blog post. So creating a template. We start by creating a GitHub repository. It isn't technically necessary, but we start by creating a project right here. This is what it would look like. We have our index.gmd, which is what I normally use as my base name, and we have our styles, and we have a bunch of other things that happen when we create a studio project. The first thing we do is we rename the main document we're working with to template.qmd. That lets Quarto know that this is the file that is the base of the template. That's the one that needs to be copied over. And we're done. We made a template. Now, if this is on GitHub, you can use the terminal command Quarto use template, the name of the GitHub repository, and this file structure will be copied over like to wherever local you point it to, and the template is what's being used. It will ignore hidden files by default. So it won't copy over the R history, the did files, all the things you normally don't want to be copied over anyway. And if there's other things you don't want, like the RStudio project file, we can use this .quarto ignore file added in here to then specify with regex to say, oh, don't use this, don't move this file over as well. I said that we don't technically need a GitHub repository. Instead of GitHub organization extension, you can point it to like a Sept file. So if it's a corporate environment, you might not want to put the theme publicly for everyone to see. As long as the user is able to point to the zip of this file, it should all, to a zip of the folder, everything should work out well. You can also, I showed it very simple here, but you can put other things in it. Here the template is just whatever document you have. You could put boilerplate in there as well. So you can really put whatever is in, like the use template function is in a way just a copy paste. But it allows you to reuse the same things over and over then. All right, that is all I have. I hope you create pretty things. Before I let you all go, I want to point you towards the Quarto documentation, so quarto.org. It's great. If you go on GitHub, there's already like dozens and dozens of templates for you to use. And on my personal blog, on the third link, I created this thing called SlideCraft 101, where I try to tell you how to make fun things with slides. And I've done 3 in a year, so it's going slow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions, and we have time to.
All right.
So first one, what advice would you have for those of us that are perfectionists and that need to let go and spend less time styling, but you just struggle doing so?
Oh, so brilliant question. So by default, you're never done styling. Like there's always more to do. So I would suggest like the time blocking. So do the high priority items first, and then say, I have 2 hours or I have 4 hours. I time block myself to 1 day of work. So I say like on the 25th I style, and then I won't style anymore. And then I might be sad because I couldn't do everything I needed, but that's how you have to do it.
You kind of answered the second question, which is what's your self-imposed time limit for creating a theme?
Yes, so slide themes, 1 day.
Okay, how do you check the accessibility of your color choices as your design gets more complex?
Yes, that's a great question. So there is, for color themes, there is all these great websites of how to do color contrast jetting. There's a link on the first blog post in the SlideCraft 101 series of how to do this. Contrast and colors they have some apps. I don't remember the name, but it's a macOS app that will turn your whole screen into a color blindness simulator. So you don't even need to do anything. It just makes your whole computer look like different color deficiencies.
Mm-hmm. Important question. What should you prioritize in styling?
Well, above all, we are creating products for other people to see. So the most important thing is that the person on the other side is able to understand what is happening and extract information. So clarity above all, and then fun last.
It's kind of disappointing. So are there any helper packages or other tools for this, like what Sharingan Themer was, to help you with the styling or your choices?
As far as I know, no. But I feel like the SCSS variables is basically like how to make a theme, because you set 4 values and it looks great if you pick great values. So I feel like you don't really need more theming, because the SCSS variables capture 90% of what you need.
So let's thank Emil again, and also thank all speakers of this session.